They say when you wear Black Power Media gear, you can accomplish anything. You can play any and every position. From coaching, to kicking, to receiving, to running and juking. And, oh my goodness, let's see that again in slow motion. Get off me. And you're going to have a lot of haters coming at you, but what you got to do is you got to shake them off, and get to your goal and accomplish it. And when that's done, it's a beautiful thing. I'm talking about going hard, extra, for that extra point. And when it's done beautifully, you talking about touchdown. Oh, and the crowd goes wild and they're celebrating with you and everything. Man, let's see that again. Nice.
Black Power Media, baby. That's how we do it.
Now go to blackpowermedia.org and get you some of that gear. Empower yourself today.
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. What's up, world? Back again real quick. I mix what I like live right here, BPM. I'm Jared Ball, happy to be your host. Just quickly, just wanted to do this very quickly, have a brief moment. And there was, for me, a lot of people sending me this clip from the most recent, or one of the most recent drops from the Math Hoffa platform. Seriously, I mean, again, it's relative, but it's just what for me feels like almost a deluge of people tagging me, sending me the clips, emailing me. I had, of course, already seen it because I watched the show. I'm a routine watcher of the program. I did reach out via Twitter and on comment on the YouTube page, to Math to see if this would ever work, but just to get the word out that there's some unfortunate mistakes still happening in the discussion of Black economics. A lot of the regurgitating of the mythology. Very popular platform, speaking to the exact audience I'm trying to talk to, and it was the same. Oh man. So I'm not going to play the clip because the Math team is for these YouTube streets relatively litigious with the copyright, even though it would be just for educational purposes. And it was not playing the whole clip. But what I will do is have us read through the transcript. So the clip in question is this one here, and I'll put it in the show description when I wrap up. And it says he's talking to who I believe is from DJ Self, and I kept wanting to think that he was from Detroit, but I'm not entirely sure where he's from. So no disrespect, I'm not familiar with him. But apparently a big time DJ, and it's a fascinating conversation. And in fact, I have another one of the clips I'm going to be using in my class where he's talking about, they have a discussion about how much does it cost to break a record nowadays. In other words, modern day payola, which for a time was a big focus of my own interests and work. So, but in this clip, it's the standard, as you see here right in the title. You get 100K, first thing you're doing is getting a car. Self on the urban community doing better. And it's just another regurgitation of all of the old mythology around, not directly around buying power, but the old ideas that Black people are poor because they don't know how to handle their money, and that they get money, and of course the first thing they do is buy a car or something frivolous. And it does not mean that people always do responsible things with their money, but that is of course not why people are poor. Poverty has zero to do with people's responsibility or financial literacy or spending habits or anything. And what they leave out, of course, off the top, is that we're often talking about very young people coming out of desperate conditions who don't really understand what's going on with the economy or finance. It's the same way, briefly, even when I was an undergrad, I tried to challenge the university for encouraging students to get credit cards and inviting Visa and MasterCard to set up tables in front of students. I mean, you're just inviting kids to get into trouble. And the idea that they're technically adults is absurd. So the idea that 18 to 25-year-olds coming into the rap game are supposed to have some grand forward-thinking economic analysis or financial planning is absurd. But anyway, so if we look here on the side, I pulled up the transcript because and I don't know if can that be made bigger? Let me do it this way. Let me try it this way. Let me try another way real quick since I'm doing this. Let's see if I can do this to make it a little bit so we can focus on the transcript part. But I don't know if I can pull it. Let's see if I pull it up here. Yeah, I can. Excellent. All right, sorry, folks. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull this up here. It should. I didn't think to do this initially. I was rushing a little bit. But let's just focus on the transcript, and then that should actually make things a little bit better. And then if we do this like this, and then do this like this, and go like that, there we go. That should be even better, right? And then I can close that. And then what I'll need to do is skip ahead here to where we are. He talks about touring, that is DJ Self, and how wild it was to just end up wherever he was. By the way, he does something here. This was actually a mistake for those who have any interest in understanding the music or radio worlds or business. In fact, let me just go ahead and take that out of there for now too. He says here, he starts talking about urban, and he starts saying that because he's talking about the urban music and urban music as a category, but then he tries to catch, it's like he tries to catch himself and do the politically correct thing and try to be the all welcoming, and saying, I'm not just saying black people when I'm saying urban. He starts going to this whole thing about Spanish people can be urban, Asians are urban. It's about a cultural thing. It's about people who live in and around a city. But that's missing the point. And just the basics in terms of music industry history in this country is that urban was developed as a genre category for radio broadcasting in particular, and directing ad revenue more specifically, in a way that would allow for them to have this conversation in popular commercial public pop cultural mainstream commercial spaces without referencing black people. And it was a way to separate black music from black people, so that it could be marketed to people outside of the black community. And this is always something that gets lost in discussions of the music industry and hip hop, et cetera, is that, and pop culture in general. And this is, I'll come back to this another, anyway, but that pop culture and mainstream music or art or commercial product is not targeting black audiences. It's targeting affluent mainstream white audiences, regardless of who's producing it or creating the art, and regardless of who's nominally supposed to be associated with the art. So urban was just another way of saying this is black music, but we're targeting a much broader audience. So that white people and others who are being targeted with this music, and again, a version of the music and the art that appeases them, that's another part of it that's really important as well, that they won't feel a kind of way. They won't be, and then someone like DJ Self can come in here later on and mistakenly take the marketing content of the genre creation, of the urban genre creation, and actually deliver it even farther verbally in this conversation by actually saying, oh, everybody's part of the urban community. Well, that's not what no, it was just another way of saying black people or black music without referring to the people creating the art. Anyway, right, because he wants to go in here and say, I'm not being racist. Okay, so this is when he starts talking about what we do with the money. We are Asians and urban, just keep it in our, okay, let me see if I can get to the very beginning of this. The black community back in our community, they're giving it outside of the community, right? And they're becoming richer, and we just keep working and working to make other people richer. Yeah, you understand, so that and then it's hard actually to tell who exactly is talking in this, because it's oh man, what's my man's name? what's my man? Because it's not just Math Hoffa, it's primarily the other brother that's in there with him. Oh man, who used to work with the Source. Now I just went blank on his name. Is that Mr. Mech? Anyway, the brother with the locks. They're going back and forth, and they just start talking about basically, again, how Black people spend money outside of the community. Asians and urban, we just keep it in the community, right? So that we can overturn the money because, large part, I always see it, we buy food, we buy from, and I don't want to make it like I'm racist, but we go to the Italian spot. This is DJ Self talking. We go to the Chinese place. We go all these other spots, right? We don't go to our spot. You don't understand what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying? And keep them away because Italians is not going to go. They're not going to. They're not doing the Malcolm X gift shop and buying Malcolm X, right? So what I'm saying, or Nubian sisters. Wow, yeah, reading the transcript is not as easy as I thought. My bad. It's a little more. It's a little, and then you don't see the names associated with who's actually talking. All right, because they're going back and forth a little bit between Self and I think it's Mr. Mech is his name. My bad. And then here we go. This is Mech definitely talking. The brother with the locks used to work with the Source. Not all of us, but the dollar rotates. And what I remember, the stat, the Jewish community, the dollar rotates 36 times. And then the other brother says, thank you, before it leaves the community. At $1 goes 36 different businesses, and it takes 12 seconds to leave the black thank you, champ. Champ, that's exactly the stat I was thinking of. This is self-interrupting Mech, and they're going back and forth saying the black dollar rotates in the black community for 12 seconds. Yeah, that's the stat I was thinking of. I saw the same meme. I went to schools, the Chinese liquor store, it's never owned by us. And they even got the 7-Elevens. Oh, right, this was the other good part. You know what I'm saying? When we go home, he ain't listening to, Jay-Z to know what I'm saying. He listened to Akbar. Right, this is where they start. Because he's saying that the Arabs in the community don't go home and listen to Jay-Z. They're not about the culture. They go home and listen to Akbar. And then they were like, it was kind of like, got a little crazy there. Like, what do you mean? What, and they tried to clean it up. But they were saying, and then they went on to talk about how we buy clothes from them. We go get hair from them. And that it's a lot of Black beauty. We just were looking at that the other day. Black beauty business, the black beauty business industry. They were talking about festivals, and then they started talking about we're going to develop festivals and we're going to circulate our dollar. But again, it was all the same thing. Oh, right. Yeah, I just got $100,000. I got my PPP loan. Most of the people never had money. They went and bought cars, and I think a Lamborghini truck was the biggest seller wherever it was. So this is the other part. I don't know where the stats are on this. I think there's some overblown reporting on Black people abusing PPP loans and buying Lamborghini trucks. Come on now. Marilyn Mosby even got in trouble for what, $15,000 or whatever. I mean, what $100,000? What people are running around with hundreds of thousands of dollars? By the way, I'm going to show you something else. I think I have time for that. Yeah, I do. I think I have time for that. I might as well do it now. But the point is that, again, all the same mythologies, they don't raise questions about where they're getting their evidence. They don't raise questions about, well, what is the actual economic condition of the people running the stores in these communities? All the things we talk about here all the time. They don't go into any of the history that, again, we've covered here. And again, Black Myths Podcast has covered in terms of the origins of the circulating dollar mythology. So all of that work is just obviously not known to this crowd, to this crew here, but it's just sort of like floating in the wind while these, you know, fantasies about buying Lamborghinis and you know, black people running around with hundreds of thousands of dollars of PPP loans and you know, while the Asians are doing better than us with their money, and it is just not it's just not accurate. So yeah, it's just not accurate. It's not backed by, you know, anyway, they start talking about the right. And at one point they were in here talking about the festival thing, about pooling resources and supporting black businesses. And of course, the other part that they leave out is that, again, were all of this true and were it to continue, that is that black people were getting all these PPP loans and doing all this stuff and trying to support black businesses and whatnot, those black businesses would either hit a peak or they would collapse. They wouldn't be able to scale up to satisfy the new customers. And then of course it would run out, which actually brings me to, I might as well just do this here real quick, because an article that I had been interviewed for about a similar subject just came out. And, you know, anyway, and then I'll do this very quickly, and then I'll check the chat if there's anything pertinent that I missed or would want you to, or, you know, where you would want my response to, and if not, we can again just wrap it up. Where is that? Here we go. So this story just came out in the Baltimore Banner. Black businesses enjoy unexpected bump from Wes Moore's historic inauguration. So this is sort of similar to the Math Hoffa piece, where in the Math Hoffa piece, they're talking about black people getting this hit of money from PPP loans. Here, it's money that was released into the black community by Wes Moore, the new future president of the United States and current governor of Maryland. And then the black community, of course, went to a certain extent to some black businesses and spent money. So the headline here is Black businesses enjoy unexpected bump from Wes Moore's historic inauguration. And of course, Wes Moore is going to love this kind of reporting because he gets credit for, but the point still remains, and this is ultimately the point I keep getting at, the bump that they're talking about, the bump that Math Hoffa's crew was talking about, comes from federal infusion of dollars, or said differently, a redistribution of wealth we have all already participated in creating, and or the elite just created out of thin air and redistribute. I can't even say it. That's how wrapped up in capitalism we are. I can't even say redistribution anymore. And they redistributed that money back to the consumers, who then went back to buy from the existing commercial environment, and it stimulated the economy and everybody did well. In a 70+% consumer-based economy, when people have money to spend and consume, everybody does well. So if the wealth that creates is redistributed back to everybody, it could flow on like that very easily without all of the inequality and the suffering and the exploitation at the other end. But, you know, instead we tend to focus on a limited part of that, like black businesses doing well. Jody Davis was pleasantly surprised this past week when a group of 6 black women politicians walked into her downtown showroom boutique looking to buy her creations. The women said they had discovered the designer feminine frocks after seeing the First Lady Dawn Flythe Moore wear Davis's monochromatic white ensemble during January's historic inauguration, where her husband Wes Moore became Maryland's first elected black governor. All right, so they're stimulating black business by, well, sending money back into the community, and then also promoting it by just wearing it. Continuing on just a little bit here, and I'll put this in the show description too. People can read it more closely and check me if they feel I've misrepresented any of it, in admittedly, as I rush here a little bit. But because, you know, my life is 4 classes and 2 daughters. So everything now is in between classes and daddy Uber or chauffeuring, whatever. Anyway, the black dollar has always been powerful, said Linda Lubert. Lubert? I'm actually not sure if, although she is a colleague of mine, I'm not sure. Linda Lubert, associate professor of economics at Morgan State University. She said the uptick in sales reported by black businesses reflects a continued momentum to support them. Not only is it good to buy black, but we even have more sense of pride and we can show it off more, she said. The Moore Miller inaugural committee spent $4.6 million on the event, according to an economic and fiscal impact report released Tuesday. It was prepared for the committee by the Regional Economic Studies Institute at Towson University. The inauguration supported 61 jobs and generated more than $2.7 million in labor income and over $7.8 million in state GDP, according to the report. In addition, the inauguration generated a combined $211,497 in state and county tax revenue. See, everybody does better. You release money into the community, everybody does better, including the tax base. Or just have socialism. Anyway, meanwhile, the event supported 34 jobs with minority women and locally owned businesses. That spurred more than $1.5 million in labor income and over $4.8 million in state GDP and combined $90,230 in state and county tax revenues, according to the report. First Lady Dawn Flythe Moore, who co-chaired the inauguration ball, said she was happy to learn that black businesses experienced a positive financial impact from the week of the inauguration. We set out to be very intentional about being very inclusive and deliberate to utilize Marylanders from across the state, she told the banner. 90% of the money spent on vendors for the ball and swearing-in ceremony went to small businesses, she said. Of those vendors, 75% were minority and women-owned businesses. The power of the black dollar is just as important as any dollar spent, she said. I'm excited that we were able to spend money in a majority black city and that dollars were spent that way. The First Lady said the inclusive efforts made during the inauguration are in line with the governor's priorities and will be indicative of his administration. He's setting up an administration that reflects people of Maryland, she said. We know Maryland is a great state, but when more people are involved, the process will get greater. It will be greater. Jared Ball, professor of communication and Africana studies at Morgan State University, said he is not surprised to hear of the uptick in sales, but he wants to see the state and federal governments do more to ensure that black communities build wealth and continue to support other black businesses. Ooh, not quite sure that was... Okay, well, right. The issue is of public, this is an issue of public policy and state and federal support, he said. If money is released back to the community, they're going to spend it. All of us contribute to the wealth in this economy and all of us should benefit from it. I definitely said that. That's yes. Ball said he is unsure of whether Moore, a Democrat, will be able to do that. I don't know that one governor can do all that is necessary, and I don't know if it's in his interest to do that kind of real work, Ball said. I definitely said that. For Brittany Bagley, this is funny to me, though, and then we're just right back on. For Brittany Bagley, who owns Baltimore-based B-Lux Event Rentals, the connections she has made from the inauguration have been invaluable. And then it just continues on to talk about how black business owners really did well and appreciate the bump that they got and that this is great. And that, you know, hey, Webster said business sales were up 40% during inauguration week. It was black excellence on full display. For Davis, the inauguration provided a bucket list moment for her as a designer, a shout out from media mogul Oprah Winfrey. Hey, listen, I continue to say, I mean, this is indicative of I mean, this has happened to me so many times, but this is, I just, you know, John Williams IV and I had a very good conversation. Very friendly guy. I enjoyed it. We, you know, I said definitely a lot more than that. And I was a lot more critical of the potential for this to do anything of value. But as we could see there, it was sort of, even with my Morgan State colleague, just sort of smushed within all of this black business is doing well. And I don't see, there was not really any, I didn't get the idea, like there wasn't a vibe of, even as the headline said, it's a bump, meaning it's not going to last. There's only one inauguration. It's not sustainable. And again, just like with the Math Hoffa conversation, they were all ultimately talking about the windfall that comes from public policy redirecting and redistributing wealth we've all already participated in creating back to certain segments of the population. If we just extrapolate from that, then all of this goes away, including this little lane the black bourgeoisie keep trying to run in that benefits, relatively speaking, from all of this economic mythology. I just think we would all do much better. Everybody does better if we redistribute all the wealth that we're all already creating. So anyway, just fascinating stuff there. And again, I mean, I know I struggled reading through the transcript, but if you watch the Math Hoffa clip, I mean, it's really kind of, it is really the difference in medium, the impact of a message. When you can see the back and forth and the struggling to pull the stat, I think it's 12 times, and the Jews 36 times circulate, and at no point does anybody ever say, "Hey, where did you get that though? What's the evidence for that?" By the way, I've been doing that more and more in and outside of the classroom, and it works like a charm. It works like a charm. At worst, people hold on to their tightly, they hold tightly to their beliefs, knowing that they cannot defend them. And on some level, I think that's important as well. So. Yeah, no citations. It's fascinating. What's your evidence for that? So anyway, again, relative to me only, it's just a lot of people hit me up about this, including up until like 5 minutes before I went live with this. Did you see the Math Hoffa thing? Did you see the Math Hoffa thing? Oh, you're gonna love the Math Hoffa thing. Oh. So, thank you, Big Teal. Thanks again. Yeah, I mean that was the whole point, because again, the industry didn't want to acknowledge, oh, this is black music that black people create. We don't want to keep saying that, and we don't want to be seen as being, going back to where we had the colored music section or whatever. So we'll call it urban, and everybody can get in. Everybody can get in. And when we market it to whites, hey, it's, so when DJ Self comes in there and he's talking about we're all urban and everybody's urban and this group is urban and that group is urban, it's like, that's not the point. Of course, everybody lives in cities. Every racial group is in and around cities. That's not the point. That's not where urban comes from in terms of the music industry. It's just, so thank you, Isaac. Let me make my money first so we can have a revolution. It's a mentality as old as mankind. I don't know if it's as old as humanity, but it's certainly as old as capitalism, and it's definitely as old as even before the end of enslavement here, where already the mythology you could start to see was being developed as people were already, being encouraged. And then even after the sharecropping mythology, and then even after the redlining, and then even after the lack of investment, and then even after the lack of political power to get zoning rights, and then even after this, and even after that, the marketing of it is powerful. And then you can get cats sitting around in a barber shop. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I started doing the buying power mythology argument in the first place, whether it's at a meeting or when I used to be in a barber shop or anywhere. This is exactly what would happen. And then when I started to be the one to say, well, where are you getting that from? Where did you get that from? Who told you that? It just was clear that nobody had an answer. So anyway, thanks again, Isaac, for the super chat. Thanks everybody for jumping on and checking this out. Please do like, share, subscribe. Please tag Math Hoffa in this. No hate, no disrespect. Just like, please, you got a big platform. Take a look at Just take a look. Just take a peek. Take a peek. And I admit I would love to be on Matt's show, but if not me, Too Black would be, I think, a great guest. Maybe bring the whole Black Myths podcast crew up there and do a whole thing, because they cover a lot of myths that Matt's platform actually does. So it doesn't have to be me, but I would love to see them deal with this on some level. Oof. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been some of that. I see that too. He got the bag. And then it does. I don't know, but I mean, I'm sure it. Yeah. And there's been a slight. You can see the shift, but on point once again. Urban smooth jazz, a reinvention to soothe the anxiety of others. That's right. That's right. That's right. And again, shout out to Tom Porter, my guy. He's like, he won't even call it jazz. He's like it's Black American classical music. But you can't say that because whites can perform it too, and whites can attend and buy it too, and Asians play jazz. So how could you call it? But as he and others would say, when what's the name, Sister Price would sing they weren't saying she's singing, it was, classical meant European classical music. Anyway. Yeah, they're sharp. Too Black and his crew was sharp. And yeah, man, Too Black is big. I don't know. Did you meet? Wait a minute. I would love to see this convo with Too Black and JB. Yeah, with me and him talking about this. Yeah, that what I always that's always that's always welcome. Anyway, I was just doing this real quick. I actually got to run anyway, but yeah, I'm for Too Black too. He could talk to lots of people. Yeah, let him, So anyway, my point is to Math. I'm just talking to Math and his crew now, and his team was in. I was in an IG DM exchange with whoever represents his IG page at one point. I was trying to tell them when they did this a little while ago. And we had a little back and forth, and they seemed to hear my argument, not to the point of actually engaging it or inviting a discussion, but Anyway. All right, good people. I appreciate you. Thanks again. Like, share, subscribe, join, do whatever you can do to support our continued growth here at BPM, and let's keep building. Thanks again. Shout out to Coco for the discussion. Shout out to you, Erica, for the discussion earlier today. Shout out to the remix. We're back up and running, so check everything if you've missed anything. And if you haven't, thanks. Appreciate you. Catch you next time here. As always, like Fred Hampton used to say to you, we say peace only if you're willing to fight for it. Aha. I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.